Okay, we'll continue with this desktop time of item off the shelf. You can see it's pretty cool surfaces that have been made. Bottom surface with the six sides. If you think about it, the cross sections in the center. And I put in here on our in the first draft, I just added a bunch of scripts that I could add as offsets to the relative tree item. And remember, we took this from cells in a square tool, from a series into a point tool, all the way over to a surface with the bottom surface and the side surfaces, and they're all lined up beautifully. And what this thing can do, not only can it change drastically as we change our amplifications and move around our normal sliders, which so many people are used to, or our count to change the scale and size of this, or even your step for that matter, to really choose what you want as an actual tool. There's plenty of things you can do with the Y and X extends to extend it out if you want more compartments or less compartments. It's all up to you. And also the size of the plane have an effect on that as well. So a lot, and you can see there's a little bit of a step problem there with that stepping off 1 on this side. So I've got a little bit of a problem with my base shifting, and I'm not sure how I ended up doing that, but I'll have to play with that little 1 tag that I have here. I think what I'll do is grab that and pop it back into here, and I think that really makes it snug. But I thought there was an issue with the base before. Yeah, there's a little base issue here, I believe, with just a stagger off. So I got to do the math to get that base on perfectly. It might not make too much of a difference when I do the extrude, but as I show this one, as it revolves around here, I also want to show you the power of, figuring out my base isn't going to be too big a problem. I was playing with it at the end of the last video. Let me put this one back in the center, keep it spinning there. But I want to show you what could happen as you play with the offsets, which are really the most exciting thing. You're following this pattern of A, B, and indices up to 10. So if I type in 0, 0 and assume everything for this offset, you can see that I'm being selective to what I'm making and what I'm choosing. So think of this as different designs around the same curve. This one's coming higher and making more of a seat. Lots of choices to really manipulate this. And of course, you don't have to do just one. You can offset the other ones, and you can write as much code into here as you possibly can even imagine to what you might be doing. So I've got the two that I like because that's a nice partition wall as well. And all of this works parametrically, the base being something different. But I'm going to leave it on the set that I had, and we're going to try and finish this whole monster right now. And what we're going to do is turn off our turntable and try and do this in probably 2 more sessions, maybe even 1. So what happens with that is you're left with surfaces. Now this surface is pretty much done unless I want to take it through an extrude. So I'll show you how to do a nice little extrude on the bottom one. It's no big deal. We're just going to move it, which is nice and easy. This is pretty primary stuff. You're going to move that geometry. We're going to move it in the Y direction was what I was having a little bit of an effect on, having to shift it over, but I've already done that Y move here. What I do want to do is just have it move down in the negative direction to the Z, and that's pretty simple to just type in here. It's not too uncommon, and I'm just going to set it to a slider of 2 because I can change the base. Depending on how I print or manufacture this, it's not going to be a big deal. That extrusion is actually a move, and I didn't actually mean to do a move. I actually meant to do an extrusion. So let's grab an extrusion, pop it in there, and just Control-Shift, move that in the direction here, Control-Shift, move that in the direction here, get rid of that move, and there we go. Got a nice little base on there, and it works. It's a little staggered, but you're going to see what I end up doing with the other ones as we go. Now, how are we going to extrude all these strange surfaces? I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to grab this one, throw that into a group, and we know we've got the item here that we're going to finish with as a merge, and I'm going to prepare for actually merging that into data here. Yeah, Ella, thank you. That's fine. I'll fix it. Oh, got to fix a doll arm. Yeah, it looks like, no, you broke it. Oh, no, you broke her arm off. I'll fix it with glue later. Sorry. All right, out you go. Yeah, we've got a merge, and we're going to start working these sides. So how could I work the sides from these surfaces? Well, right now I've got three double surfaces. So I've got 3 sets of 2, which is fine. Those are 6, and I'm going to take that data, and I think with the merge, which is there, I don't think I have to actually take the merge any farther. I have going to flatten this for that sake, so I can actually play off that flattened area, and this one being reparametized, I may use somewhere else. So let's just keep that here. And what I may do is just pull a surface that's not contained in there. I don't usually do this, but let's just have a surface floating here because I'm not too sure I want that. And what's this one doing? This one's just do-si-do and keeping things apart. I'm going to take that surface, the initial one, keep this one down here, and I'm going to take that surface and put it into an index tool. Pretty simple. Run up that index, and I know my index is that one on default is 0, 0, which is fine. It's this surface face. I'm going to just do one at a time. So let's do our simple script that I use all the time. Dividing surface. There we go. Let's put a count of 10 on this in the UMV just to get some a nice little split lines. There we go. I'm going to take that. I'm going to move that one from transform very quickly. Going to move that in the position of normals away from the normals. And then I'm going to flatten that data pretty easily, and I'm going to put those back into points. Surface from points. I'm going to have to do a little count here. Addition. A nice little tool here. Pop it into uCount. My uCount is over here is 10, but it's not going to work unless I add 1 to it. So let's add the little 1 with a quick little tool there, and there we go. We've got a second surface on top of that one and that one, and I've actually moved it in, which is nice. It's actually extruded in towards it as a move. And with that surface, let's just take a couple of deep breaths. I do this so often, it's worth checking out. Grab a deep breath there. Oop, grab a breath there, and we'll double that. And once we get this script, we can copy it 6 times. And that's kind of not the way you normally want to do things, but let's take that surface. Let's take this surface. And now because we can't just put a loft from edges to edges, we have to break up those edges. I'll use this quite often in a list item. I'll jack it up to the 4 sides of that. Let's put in our edges here, and let's copy that. Let's put our edges in here. And now let's take our lofts as needed, because we want to have good control over that. Let's take a loft and loft, put those in, and let's just pair them up, and you'll see what I actually can make. Make this one by holding down shift. You see I get a nice little strip here, which should be in here. Hang on a second. This one's false. This one I haven't got my rep in here, so that's a problem. So there we go. We got that little strip here. I may have to go back in. It's on a bit of an angle, so it's hard to see. Let's grab 2 and 2. And you see that one up there. So you got 2 already going around the sides. Really nice. And you can imagine what the other ones are going to do. I use this quite often. I didn't really find it from anybody. I just kind of figured it out on my own because it's how I think. I'm sure there's probably faster versions. So just center that and space it. You've got your edges. And with that, you can pull that into your merge. This big monster, because we want that as surfaces. And we're going to pull that one in as surface, 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 and I probably shouldn't tuck this one in yet. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back into tools, and let's leave this little merge over here, right here, and let's disconnect this one. Let me connect that one there, this one here, this one here, oops, this one here, and this one here. And now we've got a nice little tool that follows the edges, and what we also want to do is pull in this one and pull in our list item surface there. So we've got a nice little system of grabbing a side, and it's actually moved in the right direction. So we'll take that whole kit and caboodle and we'll say, let's copy that one, move it down here. That one works, but what was the count on that? That was actually a list item that we need to set up a little differently on each one. So as we go down to this next one, the list item is going to be made. The list item wants to run here as an indices. Definitely was 0. This one needs to go from 0 ... to 5, and we're going to set this one up at 1. And you'll see in doing so, I can plug it through the same script and end up with this. So you get this side and this side. Now the one thing with that is it's moved that side out, and I don't want to move that geometry out from that other geometry. I actually want it to be able to be Boolean and welded and ground and cut. So what I'm going to do is just quickly on that motion is double click here and do a negative. And drive in this one here and this one up here, and you'll see how that actually moves towards instead of against. So those two are there, and you see they fold over one another and become a nice, easy, smooth joint. Now that said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this whole monstrosity here, and I'm going to copy the whole thing, move it down here, keep it the same, but I'm going to take this count and copy that once and move that in as the 2. And that should be fine. And I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to move it in as the 3. And you're going to see what we end up having. We should have every one we want, and we don't have the cross sections yet. And I'm not sure if I just take a look here at the second one, I probably in this set will leave it without a negative, and you'll see why in a second. I'm going to leave it hanging out there just in case. Well, maybe not. Let's get rid of it. Let's see if these two worked in the cross section. They don't really matter because they're right through the center. So now we've got these items, and we're kicking it at 10 minutes, so let's keep rolling. And that's just these items there, cross and cross. And then our last two, we can grab these two because I think we are going to have to need, just copy this again because every data is different. We're going to grab this one here and copy that. And I'm going to bring that up into a list item for 4. And I'm going to bring this one up as a list item into 5. And that should allow me with a positive and negative to see if we actually got it in the right direction. Let's go down here and grab all these and take a look. If I roll around this one, does it look like it actually came in or did it go out? That one is actually coming in or out from the actual object. So I'll grab it. That one's coming in nicely. So that one's fine. That one is actually falling out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that one and also have a negative here. Pop that up and see if I can't just pull that one into the center that way, and that should haul it in. So that one's nice in a bit, hanging out a bit. That one's coming in. Let's take a look at these last two. This one is coming in, that's nice, and this last one's coming in. So that's a nice little tucked in geometry, and we'll see what happens. And then I think what I have to do is just grab all of them and do another little merge. Probably the smoothest way to do that would be to chase all this data. Let's grab that one because we liked it. Just bring it down here and plug them all in. 1, 2, and there's a little trick we'll have to do here in a second. I'll show you in the last couple of minutes. 3 and 4. And this is, this is cumbersome script, but it's one that it's the way I think and it's the way I can manage it, and I'm quite happy with it. I believe if I take all this data, which was there, and before baking it, I took that all and I flattened that data, I should be able to throw it into a brep join, and with any luck, brep join, I should end up with 6 awesome surfaces. And I do. Open brep, close brep, so there's a problem with a couple of open ones, but let's take it to bake, put it in here, and see why I've got a couple of open breps. But in the end, there it is. We can leave that script. I've got one there. The forms are pretty elegant. They do kind of fall over each other. They do some magic stuff in here. But that baked as a geometry into possibly shaded or into something like rendered, that object is still kind of cool the way the folds come through and they make some texture and do some interesting things. I'm not so happy with what's happening there. That one, this one I actually want to come in. So if I make that one in, this one might be a problem over this side. So there's definitely things you want to work on when you're here. We're at 12 or 13 minutes. Let me check 13 minutes. So let's just grab that one, and I always find artistic. You can customize these to anything you want. But let's go back in and grab this one, leave this all, grab all that script and say, okay, you're the junk burger. Here you go. And grab all that script here and take that to off. And now we can just see our script, and we can play with what we have or not. Doesn't matter if you like it in blue or in orange. Let's go in here and let's play with that as different units of very simple offset numbers to make different geometries. I like that one. And one other thing I wanted to show you actually as we stay with this one without playing too much here, go into these incredible path mapper tools A and B and select the items that you don't have. Put those vertices in. There you go. Now you're starting to play with some pretty cool stuff. So that one's not going to work so much. But let's take this one and say, okay, that might be a geometry I want. But let's also play off of another script here. So we're playing it up and seeing what's happening. We've got some doubled up images there that fold. That might be something you never thought you'd be making. But what a nice parametric model made from simple maths. Put it into a bake. We're kicking it off. We don't have much time left. There's a nice other one that's got all these sections that you can construct and make yourself. Let's take that there. And just if we have another 30 seconds, let's go in here and have a little fun. I haven't even done the offsets differently. Let's go in here and throw this one into here. Tree data, there's another one totally. Let's throw that one into this offset. Nope, not going to work. This one here, all the way down. I'll go back into my B item because I'm having trouble with my vertices here. Oh, I messed up my tree data. We've got to wrap this up with 5 seconds to go. You got another little item, and there you go. So thanks very much for watching. Play with it, have fun, and see you soon.